Ohnstad. I'm the creator of Color Art Products, and I'm your host for ColorPlay Live 3 days a week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm here on Saturdays today at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I saw a few people waiting, and I know I have to get my little iPad thingy set up, so I like to get on a few minutes early if it's possible. How's everybody doing? I see that Jennifer B. had a little play with her color here, right? She said she got her set opened and fooled around with it. I'm just trying to get so I can see the conversation here again. How'd you like the colors, Jennifer? Oh, you've had a chance to play? Is that what you said, honey? Woohoo! That's great. Absolutely fabulous. Well, the weather's nice. Got a few calls on the morning, Pam. Morning, Sherry. Hi, Dee. Everybody's coming on, giving us some time. I think I need a puppy pad. Give me a sec. And no, Sherry, there is no puppy here. I'm just probably going to be doing something a little bit messier than normal, potentially messier than normal. I want to make sure I have something here to wipe everything off with. So how's the weather where you guys are at? I'm just going to wait a couple minutes and let everybody come on because we got about one more minute while I cut up my little puppy pad. Hey, Judy. Judy Johnson. Welcome, Judy. Hey, Sparkle. How you doing, honey? Everybody's coming in. So I had a fun time playing with the watercolors yesterday, and we just kind of barely scratched the surface, but I was dying to paint that tulip basket, that wicker basket with the tulips, but winter storm, how much winter storm? How cold is it? Kathy McGee says there's a winter storm where she's at. So when do the clocks reset? Tomorrow night? Is it technically spring here pretty soon? I mean, Fresno's pretty cold, actually, considering by now we've already got a warmer spring weather. Sandy, I sent you a message yesterday. I think it was about Kate and Evan and Claire's Crafty Corner. I wanted to be sure the two people that you had mentioned that like playing with Jasminite. John! Oh my God. You've been on my mind. I almost called you this morning just to make sure you were okay, young man. Yes, sir. Long time no see. How's that texture stuff going? He has the coolest setup in his garage. Okay, so, well, if you didn't know what I was doing, yeah, maybe to the wrong messenger, but I sent it through Messenger, Sandy. I wanted to see if we had the right people. Nowadays, there's so many AIs offering people a chance to play with stuff that I almost need to have someone recommend us, not me contact them. And Furry Art Mother is very good at that, so it's possible we can get her to do that. So what I've done so far is I could have, an art show. John's working on an art show. That's great. Okay, so what I did so far is I took a puppy pad and cut it into like these 2-sheet combos. And it's here because I'm probably going to need it to clean off my brayers. Now, what are we going to do with brayers today, Leslie? Well, have any of you heard of the gel press plate? I think Mandy Roca played with it in one of her videos recently from Hope Designs. I have the large one here. Now, some of this was inspired by an artist by the name of Patty Tolley Parrish. She used to do this when YouTube had Google Hangouts. And you'd go in on Saturday morning and just watch what she'd do with the gel press plate and these stencils and paint. And it was so much fun. So I've got some Prism Pour here. I've got some Vivid Intense here. I have some of the purely metallic, purely pigment metallics here. If I have to grab a purely, of course I will. But the brayers get messy, and so you want to have one of these pads to kind of roll it off in when you're cleaning it up. So without further ado, now to pull mine out, it's not exactly 100% clean, and yet if any of you guys have played with yours, this is pretty much as clean as what it looks like when you get it. Now mine's well used, so bear with me, okay? Cool. Yes, you should. Okay. So right now, that seems like the best close-up I can get on this thing. Now, there's two sides. This side does have a lot of metallic stuff that's left over on it, right? Now, how Patty always, and by the way, we are using an unwaxed sandwich wrap. I've got two different sizes. This is a 14 by 14. These are a 9 by 12. First Street makes these, the sandwich wrap, okay? Stuff looks amazing on this. Prism Pour shimmers like crazy like this. Then mount it to a board and put it under resin is, oh my God, to die for. Okay, so we're gonna use some of the littler sheets to clean this up. I wanted to show you how to clean it up first. I had it flipped over to the other side where I hadn't done much, but what a lot of artists do, I'm gonna use my white, is they use the buff. I've got a funny little corner over here, so I'm gonna flip this around. They use a golden titanium buff. It's the Titan buff. When the name of the paint says Titan something, you can bet it's got titanium in it, okay? So now I've never tried to do this gel press thing on a live. So many new things for me here. What we would do is they take the Titan buff. Let's hope this actually has the seal off. No, it's not going to pour anything if I don't have the seal off. And I believe it's the titanium dioxide that helps to do this. Okay. This is actually how you clean your plate. Soap and not water, not necessarily, right? Now that's probably a little bit too much. I might have gotten a little overbit because when you brayer it out, you don't need much, right? Now this, yeah, way too much paint for this. That's even too much paint for a printing. Let's see if I can get some of this off in my cup. You want just enough to coat it. What happens is the titanium grabs all that stuff below. And by the way, it's really pretty. If I had just done a printing and pieces of copper sparkle picked up on it, wouldn't have bothered me. But I still think when someone's starting out and they're going to question, why does her plate look dirty? Why did she do this? You guys should be able to see how to clean the plate. And like I said, if I needed a way to clean my brayers. So if you can see over here to this side, I'm just rolling my brayer on the puppy pad to get anything excess off, because I actually want a nice dry. That's the second one right there, the one below it. Not that this is too wet. I can keep using this. This is going to dry in between. I just want to make sure that I'm getting everything off as quickly as possible on here. And then Put the deli paper down. Make sure you make perfect contact. There's such a thing as perfect contact. You made your own. What did you make it out of? Now, the thing is, a handmade one, don't you have to keep it refrigerated? Because this stuff is, there's a couple different companies that make this too. I got my big brayer here. And actually now I kind of wish I hadn't done this because you really need to let it set for a couple minutes. And I don't know if I can really get away with heat setting it because I don't want to mess with my plate. But you do let it set. So just a couple questions for you guys that if you were here yesterday, we got 16 on right now, I think. How many people are on here? Yeah. What'd y'all think of those watercolors yesterday? Just curious. Bringing them back. I had a few people call me, but just wondering what everybody thought of the colors of the watercolors. All right, or those stamps. Thank you. I'm just kind of giving this, gonna give this a little pat. No refrigerator yet, and it's not in there. It was glycerin. Okay. So let's see if this pulls up. We do have another side to use, but this is the method. You normally leave it on for a few minutes, and as this does this, this soaks up. It just soaks right up, guys. So actually, I probably did get it a little bit too wet. Let's see how we can get our camera here so you can see this. Looks like I had a little bit too much paint on there. That's okay. I can put more paper down, but I'm getting off some debris. Some old color that was on here is lifting up. Now you could actually use this paper as a base for something else. When you do this process, you're gonna find your entire table, everything around you will have pieces of paper drying. You left a message about, yeah, I saw that, sweetheart. This even has, see, it's even got a little sparkle in here of what it picked up, right? This can actually be used as a base, an opaque base. Yeah, there's a lot of sparkle on this because it's picking up everything that was previously used on the plate. Yeah, those were a special run. John Niedermeyer said those are big cakes. Priscilla Hauser asked us to produce those for a show. There was 36 colors, I think. Might have been more, 38. Sorry, I'm having trouble lifting this up with the camera a couple inches from my face. A little bit of a challenge. And so it was a limited run in that size. And she was doing one stroke painting, like loading one side of the brush with white and the other side of the brush with color and painting these one stroke flowers with my very molten twinkling H2Os. Well, I'm gonna flip these papers over, put a couple more on here. I just wanna do this one more time and get this cleaned up so we can get to playing. But yeah, now I can cheat because there is two sides of this thing. I could cheat and flip it over and work on the other side. But I can't say there's not at least some iridescence here, right? So I am gonna do that since I have that white there. I'm gonna let that set. That will clean up the rest of it while we play here. All right, so I'm gonna give you some examples of, now I have stacks of papers. I couldn't find them, but the deli paper, this is what the, oh, thank you, Sharon. That's great. Sharon said she's got some watercolors from a long time ago. So this is deli paper, okay? Now, I couldn't find it, but I will for the next time I play with this. There's some kind of lemon scented wax that can be rubbed on this type of paper. And then what happens is the deli paper goes completely translucent and only the pattern shows up. These are beautiful. And of course, the colors just shimmer like crazy on here. These are just some fun examples I did when I was showing somebody here. You know, ginkgo leaves on one layer, another stamp on another stencil on another layer. And I have a whole stack of these in another box across the room somewhere. I couldn't find them. But you can see some of the stencils that I've used for patterns. Now, open ones like this that don't have a lot of strange little shapes, these are actually will work pretty well because they don't get caught on stuff. This is a little bit tricky, okay, but it works. You can get a nice design on this, but because of this, you got to be really careful how you store these kind of stencils. See how I use this? You can see I use for an interference. Hey, Judy, Fairy Art Mother's here, right? Hey, Hope. So I see some other people have come in the room. Yeah. So you can see the back of this has some interference violet, right? So we would use this on the gel press plate to add additional patterns. So when you start looking at stencils, this is the stencil, one of the stencils that was used on that paper I just showed you. So is this. You can tell these are, see, I'm trying to pull this up and this little design is getting caught in the next one. So these little open stencils that has these little open designs, you got to be really careful fooling around with them because they get caught on stuff. These are a little bit simpler to use. I've got all kinds of here's. Where did I get them? Okay, well, let's see. Patty Coley Parrish, the lady I just mentioned. Let's see. There was a company that put her name on them. I'm looking through my box. Give me a second, guys. Shoot. Because I want her to be able to get the credit for this since I'm kind of showing off her designs. I mean, here's one company, but they don't make it anymore. Here's another company, but they're not the ones making it for Patty, right? I have other designs in this thing, but here's another company, right? I have one here that still has Patty's on there. I found this from DecoArt, but you're really limited to the design when you actually like do a tree or something, right? But I have one here that had the contact information. You would have to ask. Of course, John. I just wasn't prepared. Here we go. So Patty Coley Parrish stencils. And who makes them for her? Because I'd love to give her the business. She's super talented. She's what inspired me to even play with these. See if we can't find this while we're waiting for something to dry or whatever. I'll try to open this up. But a lot of these designs are hers that I opened up and just started using, right? And so a design like this, like a tree, you're sort of limited because that's what you're doing. But this is a really cool design too, right? To put behind something that you're going to do. So let me put the rest of these away. Now, they've got different kinds of stencils where you lay this down and everything around it's loose, or this kind of stencil where everything around it is all controlled and just the center is loose. So lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stencil designs out there. Yeah, the tree's fun. I loved it. Why do you think I bought it? I purchased that tree because I like that tree. I also love my ginkgo leaves, which I know I'm going to grab them today. the two most favorite stencils we didn't get to is I really love this offset pattern one that I can put any kind of design I want over. And by the way, this is beautiful. Oh, now maybe I'll show you something at the end that can be done with this, because it's not just, the stencils aren't just for the gel press plate. But this is one of my favorite stencils. This is one of my favorite stencils. You can tell they've been used. These just make great patterns on top of other patterns, right? Even have one that's all stars, never been used. Oh yeah, please do, picture of the peony. Now I've also got stencils that's like the entire birch trees now, but remember it's in reverse. So you lay this down, you'll get the background on the first one, and rub the paint over it. I'll show you when you flip it over, it does a reverse pattern. So let's play with some basics, and then we'll get a little bit more exotic here. And I warned you about these stencils that get caught on stuff, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm fighting with those right now, trying to get them moved so I can play with them. The stencil thing is kind of messy. I have a lot of them sitting around me, if you can imagine. All these stencils, big stencils sitting around me so I can show you. All right, now, color combinations. I am going to show you hands down, and don't yell at me. Those of you that already have true silver, you know how pretty this is. Right now it's out of stock, but I think I have one more container of the stuff to make it. Now, true silver is the only material we sell that's actually ground metal. It's a ground aluminum, okay? And yeah, I had to make some up here. I have some, I poured some off in a squeeze bottle. I couldn't find my bottle of it. But we need to order more of the material. I think I have one small container left that I can make one last batch. But I'm not going to put it up when everything's 40% off. However, I will offer it when we do the sponsorship program. So I'll make sure anybody that's a sponsor can get their hands on this stuff. So what you want to do is take, this is just, think of this as prism pour, right? The liquid prism pour. I think I got a lot of paint on here. One more time, a little bit too much paint. I've got to learn to not be so heavy-handed, because you know what? The paint goes really, really far. You don't need much. Actually, I put probably double on here what we needed. I'm going to be a smart girl. Lift this side up, and it's heavily loaded. I've got my little puppy pad to the side here, right? And so I'm going to lift and leave this side up so I don't lose any of that paint. And I'm going to continue. I do have that bigger one, but I want to make sure any excess I'm taking off with my scraper. I'm going to load up. See me with the stick. I'm kind of loading up to the right, because this stuff is precious. It's also probably one of the most expensive materials we have. It's ground aluminum. But wow. Wait till you see how pretty this stuff is on the deli paper. First time I saw her do this, I was blown away. All right, so let's get a basic shape down. Yeah, and I do love my ginkgos. So I could put my ginkgo leaf pattern down here. All right. Make sure it makes contact. Just kind of gently pressing it down, making sure my stencil makes contact, okay? I'm going to use the big deli paper here. Make sure my paper makes contact. Now this is wax-free deli. I bought 1,000 sheets, I think, for $15 or $20 from Smart and Final. Okay. Now, I kind of wish this wasn't so loaded, but that's okay. Now, here's a trick. Let's say I want to use this silver on the back of something else, so I don't feel like I'm wasting any paint. I'm going to be able to press into that stencil that any leftover silver I've got on here isn't going to go to waste. I can start loading up some silver as a background, so you don't waste a drop of any of your Prism pours, not just the true silver, anything you're working with, right? So I'm going to make sure this is completely dry, nothing on here. So now I've got some paper started with a little silver. Look at that. Golf club handle silver. You're right, a stencil swap share. What an interesting idea. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. All right. Let's see how our ginkgo turned out. All right. So now I've got my first layer with my silver ginkgos, right? But wait, there's more. I can then take another sheet now. The sheet that I put the background on, I could have done this. Remember, this is clean. We don't have to worry about any excess paint on this bubby. And actually, I think I did this in reverse, to be honest. You want a dark background and then lay the silver on top. But I was so excited to show you the true silver. So you also get this pattern. So you're going to get a silver background. Be careful, be really careful when you're pulling it off, because we're keeping it real thin and sheer, right? So now this is the reverse. This is going to give us a ghost of that, right? Come on, baby, don't tear. Don't tear on mama, okay? Wow. So see, now we've got a ghost. Now, this stuff is incredible embedded in your resin art, okay? I've just done some, I'll get when I get to it, but I've just done the paint and just brayered it and let it fold over on itself to create a kind of a texture, okay? So this is this, right? So we've got this printing, but wait, there's even more. We've got what's on the back of the stencil. But to make it more interesting, and I mean very interesting, let's see. This color would be the bomb. Egyptian blue. Woo, baby. Now that's about the right amount to go on. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. And I wish my little true silver thing, see, I still have the true silver here to use on something. I'm waiting to use it. Oh, yes. You have no idea, John. You are so correct. So here's this Egyptian blue. And let's say I just want the whole paper to have that color. Come on, get on there, baby. Get on there. Now remember, we still have a paper with the excess paint on it, right? That's that one I started with the silver. So I'm gonna put it over here, kind of do the same thing. My paper's not making perfect contact. Give me a minute. It looks like it's off center. The thing is, the prison pour dries pretty quick, so you don't have that much time to sit and fiddle with 4 or 5 sheets of paper for one kind of contact, right? I guess this is gonna have to work. It's not gonna be perfect. And the crinkles, by the way, are stunning under resin. But my practice paper where I'm getting all the excess off, right? We don't want to waste anything. We'll put any excess blue on here. We're not wasting any paint. Because you may have a lot more paint on your brayer than me. I used about the right amount then, right? Okay, then I'm going to flip this over because I want a blue background. It's going to have the pattern or whatever the plate's going to give us. Come on, baby. Maybe I should have used just a little bit more paint. I'm worried it's going to tear as I'm pulling this. Okay, but I wanted to do it quick because that's going to be my background for this. So one layer of true silver I used on lots of different ones. And I don't know if it's going to come up, but just in case some color comes up. Now, I don't know if we did it quick enough because I farted around with the silver on the other layers. So let's see if it took. But in theory, you just flip the stencil over, you got wet paint. And if you've already got a solid dark color, the true silver is going to look beautiful on top of that. No, it dried too quick. So that's okay. Let's do it. How are we going to do it? Let's do it. Wow. That's kind of interesting, little bits of silver in there, right? Ha! Gel press. It's a gel press plate, honey. Playing with the gel press plate. Yep. So, I don't know. I want to get the silver leaves on top of there. Oh, yes, I do. What am I thinking? Hello, maybe this will work. What am I thinking? I still have some of this left on the brayer, right? I don't know if this will work, but why not? I've never tried it this way, but why wouldn't it? Uh-oh. You got to keep your stencil really in place. I have this left over. I can always load up a little bit more on it. Get something loaded up on my brayer, just like we're putting it on a palette knife, right? Just putting the cell activator on my palette knife here. And it doesn't matter if there's silver on the stencil. Again, you flip it over fast enough, you're going to be able to use the paint. I farted around with that silver on proving how many different, printings I can get with that one application of silver. And so I took way too long to flip it over and take advantage of the paint. I'm going to a little bit more in here. Just a tiny bit. Because if I want to get a little silver on all of them, especially the stems. And this is a little bit more intricate than probably a beginning stencil for you guys, but I think you get my point. Now there's plenty of paint on here, right? I didn't really get a good printing. Yeah, it is. I mean, for what we're doing, by the way, that's Violet Rose. I didn't even introduce her. I just kind of squirted her out. It's kind of translucent color. Now, I have some silver here. I have no choice. I have to go over the top of it with something, so I'm kind of picking a translucent color. And then I'm going to put another sheet on top and put this wet one directly over that we know is still wet. And then take whatever Violet Rose I got left on here. I think you guys are getting the idea of the possibilities. Now, a tiny bit more of that Violet Rose on my thing would give me a slightly better print, but just a bit, just a teeny, teeny bit. Just put a tiny bit on there because I want to get this corner right here. Remember, it's fairly translucent, so I just need the subtlety of it on there. So let's see what happened to this one. Whoops, because this, it had the silver from this on the back of it still wet. Look at that, kids. Wow. Yeah. There's some pretty, so many pretty things you can do with this. Now we've got this also had the silver down first, and remember I put the Violet Rose on top. So when it dries, like I said, the silver should go on top and the darker colors goes on the bottom. Possibly, but see how it's also still picking up the blue? And we're getting that ghost print of the ginkgo. This is going to dry so pretty. Now, here's the thing. This is when you get to this point going, holy moly, where do I put all the flipping papers that are drying, right? I'm going to let this dry a bit. We'll look at it in the end, but I have to drape it over something behind me, guys, because I'm going to run out of room here really quick. And I mean really quick. Fortunately, Prism Pour dries rather quickly. Okay, so say I want to clean this up. It is kind of magical. And I'm going to just not put a lot of that white like I did on the other side. Just put a tiny bit of white here. See if I can't get some of that blue off. Not that I mind, the blue's still pretty, but if there's a way to mop it up, get the excess color art. Look at that. And you're still making background papers. You can still keep making these papers. I have got to find that lemon wax stuff. I saw it just the other day. I should have grabbed it and brought it to the table because I knew it would be good for this. Patty had recommended it. Like I said, you rub it on this paper and your design goes forward and the deli wrap goes transparent. It looks like vellum, real expensive vellum paper. And it's such a beautiful look, whether you're gluing it to board for design, you're doing some kind of mixed media thing, right? Okay, so we got most of that purple and blue off. Let's see how our other side is doing. I probably left it on too long now. Yeah, you know, when years and years, oh my God, I forget. I'm going to end up using this side. I don't want all the white. We made a spray called Radiant Rain. Basically, you take a tablespoon of the Vivid Art fluid to like a half a thing of water, half of a 2-ounce bottle, tablespoon of Vivid Art fluid, fill it up halfway with water, put primary elements in it. The problem is if you shake the bottle with a settled mica, it clogs up the sprayer. But I was spraying the back of fresh leaves from my yard and pressing patterns on the deli paper. There's a photo of me somewhere with an entire table stacked of papers, and it was to make wrapping paper. Of course, this makes beautiful wrapping paper. Custom anything, man. Heather is so talented, you guys. She really is. Okay, so I have some color combinations here I actually wanted to try. I really wanted to get the true silver out of my system. Not that we won't play with it again, because I think it's an extraordinary pop of color at the end. I'm going to play with some of the Vivid Intense Nickel as a Gold, some of the Purely Pigments, a little bit of the yellow, and these. So I think I'm going to start with the Cerulean Blue first. It's the darkest color, and kind of go dark to light, or I can start with this as my base. I think I'll start with this as my base and then do the patterns over the top of the, do the patterns over the top of the blue. Somebody said something. What's the size? I think it's an 11 by 14. This paper is a 12 by 12, right? And it fits exactly the 12 length. And then 12 this way. Yeah, I think it's a 12 by 14. They may call it out as an 11 by 14 when you're searching for it. So let's get some of the Vivid Intense Nickel as a Gold, complete change of color here. Then I'm also going to add, where'd my burnt orange go? Burnt orange, metallic. Oh, yeah. Because the Vivid Intense, you know, has no sparkle, right? So here's a burnt orange, purely pigment metallic. Shake all that up from the bottom. We'll see how much my dropper wants to. If anybody can think of a better dispensing system for glass, please let me know, because The best way to protect the product is glass, but the dispensing, I don't like droppers. I mean, I could pour it and then you guys go, oh my God, did you see how much he wasted on the broadcast? You know? And yet I want to just pour a couple drops on and get that burnt orange metallic. Let's get this silver out of the way. And then put on, gotta make sure this sucker's clean. Get a little spray bottle here. So I just want to make sure nothing's going to come off, even though it is acrylic. It shouldn't, but I'm just going to spritz a little water on my little thingy here. I've got my puppy pad right here, and I'm just making sure. All right, because we're switching up colors here. So I want to go a little bit like this. Little bit like this. Little bit of the Indian yellow. Sherry in the room? Sherry Ellis here. Sherry Ellis, are you watching? This is your colors, dear. So it doesn't have to just be one color, right? Can you see the color patterns that I'm getting here? Playing with my Vivid Intense, my metallics, purely pigment metallics, and I'm just kind of letting the different part of the roller dot the color on without actually over mixing this. Yay, Sherry. I thought of you as soon as I started loading these colors up. Audra, how are you doing, honey? Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday, everybody. We're playing with Prism Pour, Vivid Intense, Purely Pigments, and the gel press plate and wax-free deli paper, Audra. How's your Saturday going, honey? I mean, there's something very tactile about doing it this way too, right? Very tactile. You feel, because the jelly actually feels like jelly. It has a give to it. It's not actually bad to rubber stamp on. Yesterday I almost pulled it out because when you're rubber stamping, the gel underneath it will kind of make sure it lifts up to your stamp, right? So let's see what this looks like. Okay, that, ooh. I know you can't see it yet, but look at the metallics. That burnt orange. Oh my God. It's already starting to dry here. That's pretty darn incredible what that's doing. There's a part of it that didn't take it. You couldn't ask. I'm just going to try to press that right there where it missed, right? Get that on. And so instead of like burying the whole thing and making it all the same, I don't want to do that. Right? Okay, now this is where, of course, I can really get myself into trouble here. This is where I can really do something great or screw it up. I really want to do like a turquoise and orange type of thing, southwesty combination. I'm loving this color combination though. I am definitely going to remember this as a base. Now, there's still a little color left on this, so I'm just gonna kind of roll what I've got dry on this thing in here. I don't think it's really gonna mess it up. I've only got one spot that seems still really wet there. It's probably the drop of the Purely Pigments on there. Wow. Okay, so what if, ha 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 ha. Then I take some Interference Violet. I don't think I got any out. I'm gonna have to make some, darn it. I didn't grab the, I have a blue. What have I got here? I've got an Opalite Frostbite. It's too, but you know what I could do? Take some Frostbite and add some Interference Violet to it. Zhuzh it up a little bit. Do what do they say? Church it up? Zhuzh it up? Wow, that's really pretty. Yes, I have not used every color that I make, Virginia. This needs to be very well stirred. And I'm sure you guys have bottles that have sat for a while and you haven't opened them up yet. Those of you that may. You really want to give it a good shake, bling it up. You're right, John, give it a little bling. Actually, I really want just straight Interference Violet and Interference Gold over that. I'm not ready to do the blue. I'm changing my mind. I've got some gold. I am gonna make some violet because that pattern that I did over with that other piece, I did with, where's that stencil now? I got a lot of papers around me now, kids. That one I did that had that Interference violet pattern on it is kind of sticking out in my mind. Where is that sucker? Yeah, it didn't look like anything until I flipped it over and you saw the other, see how it's got that pattern on there? This is not a bad pattern, it's kind of off center, but I'm gonna do it with this one. This is still my favorite, hands down, pattern to put a pattern on top of something else that I've done. And it's, again, it's abstract enough to where, you know, this can be used on anything. All right, so let's make a little violet up. And by the way, I also have some, there's a lot of stencil companies out there. You just have to search TWC, Patty Tully Parish stencils, TW, whatever, I had it on camera a minute ago. The very first ones that are blue, they don't even make those anymore. Try to think of the name of the lady. There's a couple ladies in this industry that are so well known for making stencils. And then Patty Tully Parish, the lady who I saw first do this, they make the designs for her. She'll say, I like this, this, and this. And then they make it up. So I'm mixing some violet here and a little bit of varnish. By the way, if you guys don't know me, I love the varnish enamel blend. It's just perfect. It dries quick. It's smooth. It's creamy. Kind of my jam here. Mix some of it up. Woo, 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 woo. Love that violet. God, I love that. Now let's add a little more bling bling. I think I'll do some diamond violet. Or wait a minute, let's put some diamond gold in it. Where's green diamond? Where's the gold diamond? We'll get a little light play here. So interference, violet, and gold diamond. So it's why they call it diamond. The flakes are really big. This is the gold diamond. And we're just gonna sparkle this little puppy up. Some of that. And since I actually have some autumn leaf here, because we don't have it in the prism pour, I was gonna make some up. We're kind of going down that road. I'm gonna put it on as a pattern afterwards, but I wanna let you know. You're looking for your gel plate right now? No surprise, darling. No surprise at all. And then the French silk is just an incredible interference gold in the prism pour. Already mixed up for you. By the way, we make these packed full of so much mica. There's a teaspoon per every ounce. So we know you're going to end up wanting to thin it down, you know, extend it, whether you put it in a varnish or you put it in an enamel, but you're going to extend it somehow, right? So, all right. So what we're going to do this time is I am going to put the piece up that we just did that I like, right? It's drying really nicely here, by the way. No, it feels nice and dry. Put my pattern on here. Kind of need a almost need a blade. Now be careful with the blade with the gel press. If you break it, if you split it, you're toast. Caution, caution, caution. Do not do this with your palette knife. I mean, I want to get it on there and I don't want to waste it, right? And I want random colors somewhere else, somewhere here and somewhere there. So I put a little violet here. I'm going to spread some of the violet there. Let's take some of this French silk gold. Squeeze some out on my palette knife. Oh, this one I think, wow, it's a new, oh, here's another bottle that has been opened. Oh no, solar gold. Well, guess what? I guess I'm gonna use solar gold. I'm just gonna do this whole intuitive thing, just whatever feels right, guys. Let this happen naturally. It dries pretty quick in between the layers. So I don't know how much gold is in here, but that one's not open either. So can you tell that I have a lot of new bottles? Let's go back to the interference gold. I know I have an almost empty bottle because it's one of my favorite colors for that big, when I did that big board and I glazed over it, right? Now, a lot of people have struggle with how to mix it up after it's settled. Yes, you can shake it. You can also take the wooden end of a paintbrush, like a big heavy one into the paint. Sorry? What are you sorry for, sweetheart? Hi, Cindy. So I'm going to kind of stir up the mica from the bottom. This is the fast and nasty way to do it. If you don't want to sit and waste time shaking. There is an anti-settling agent in there, but if you've let your bottle sit for like, 6 months, not used it, walked by, petted it, And then I'm just going to take what's on the end of my brush and kind of spread it here on my gel press plate. I'm not going to waste anything, right? And I got a little violet, got a little gold down, and I got a chance to stir up my pot here. Bye, sweetheart. Have a good one. Bye, Sherry. Sherry has to go to the gallery. It's Saturday. It's her turn to go watch the gallery. She's got all her pretty things for sale, right? So I'm missing an area up there, and I'm deciding, I know I want to do the turquoise on the next layer. I think I'll go back and just finish this up since that gold was such a little bit of a pain. I'll finish this up with this violet up here. And then, of course, I can take my brayer and make sure that everything's spread nicely once I got it in there. But it's a great way to not waste any paint, all right? Waste not, want not. All right, let's see what this does. That's gonna look really subtle right now. And this, look at all the paint that's still on this, right? Which can go right on top. Let's see, I had another piece here. Here. Wow, I'm gonna take this off, put this down, because while this is still wet, I can flip it over, roll that on. While we're looking at this, always think about what you can do with the paint on the reverse side once you've applied it. All parts of this is usable. Now, this, once this dries, this is going to give us an iridescent pattern of what came through that stencil. At least it should. I can speed it up a little bit. I'm kind of heating it from the backside. Bye, Sherry. Hey, S.C. Dalton, how you doing, honey? Welcome, 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 everybody. See what's happening here? Can you see this? Fabulous. Yep, diamond dust is really pretty in the resin, Cindy. Cindy just said she added the diamond dust to her resin and it's sparkling like crazy. Okay, well, let's check this thing. We're getting a lot of shimmer here. When it starts to shimmer like that, now the patterns are going to be really subtle because, you know, it was just a pattern thing. When it shimmers like this, though, wow. This is going to be really pretty mounted to something or under resin. Don't think it's quite dry everywhere, though. I see some Saskia! Woohoo! Welcome, welcome, sweetheart. So see the golden nickel as a gold, the Indian yellow, that burnt orange underneath. I like that burnt orange. I'm going to use more of that because I love what that did. Okay, now, have to set this aside just for a second. This was the backup because we didn't want to waste anything. And all this is going to do is just put a really subtle pattern on top of that silver. There wasn't that much paint, so didn't add much. I'm seeing a little bit of a metallic on there. But this is like a background paper that we're building, and you want to flip it over and not waste any of the paint. So yeah, well, we're going to, the goal is, S. Dalton just asked about the watercolors. Okay, and here's the deal. Let's take just a little break here. So we're trying to raise capital to restructure the warehouse because our rent got tripled. So we're going to restructure the warehouse and make room to pour them. Okay. Now imagine the thermometer with a little red thingy up here, the goal. We were down here. We're about to here right now. That's why you've got this big, deep cell going on. We're trying to raise enough capital to reorganize the warehouse and start pouring them. Now, there are a few of those big, giant hunking cakes that I showed you guys on camera in my garage, and I'm having a few people reach out to me, so I'm happy to share the wealth and sprinkle a little bit of twinkling H2Os out there while we're making them, but we may also be doing a sponsorship program. I'm just figuring out how to structure this where you sponsor us for $275, but you get like a $500 gift card. That money goes towards the goal because we're trying to hit the goal so we can make the twinkling H2Os because 40% off for a very long time is not sustainable, but we can do a gift card sponsor type program for our regular customers that want us to get to the goal line. We have a goal line set for us to get there to make this happen. So in the meantime, there are a few of the bigger pots. I've got about Garage Cakes by Leslie. Yeah, those were about, I think it was 36 color pour for Priscilla Hauser for the Decorative Painter Show in 2011 was the year. I think that was the year, a long time ago. Anyway, that's the deal with the cakes. So the 45% off the master sets and the 40% off of everything by using Stock Up 40 and the 25% off the Purely Pigments. It's going to go off sometime Sunday, Monday night. I don't have an actual end date posted up there, but it's going to fall off. But then by that time, we'll have a sponsorship thing set up because we have to get to the goal line. I mean, if I have to leave that 40% up for a few extra days until we hit it, we hit it. Because it doesn't do me any good if we don't make that goal. All right. Next thing we're going to do, now my surface is dried. I'm just going to keep showing you what you can keep doing on this one single surface. So we've got the first layer was the nickel as a gold, the Indian yellow, Purely Pigments, the metallic burnt umber, and then I use this stencil on top with some interference gold and violet mixed with gold, so we have some sparkle in between. Now, okay, I can do, we got a choice. I can just go back over the top of that with something darker. I can, of course, I can go over with all kinds of other stencils. The ginkgo we've already played with a bunch. So let's find something else. By the way, there's that one with the blue on there. You said it was still pretty. It didn't dry perfectly, but it sure looks like a great background for something that I might be able to inlay. These are all of our pieces so far that you can see the ghosts in there. All right, so what can I use? I can go over it with a tree pattern, which again, then it's more structured. This is kind of a fun one because it leaves it really loose. This, you're worried if it looks like something, right? Something in particular, where these little abstract patterns, I was trying to get to my big maple leaves because we could do the big maple leaves, but then I'd want the maple leaves to be the part that shows through, right? And the background be different. And right now I've got the autumn on the background, so I don't think that would work. I could put the trees back there. That doesn't really excite me that much. I don't know if I need it to look like something in anything in particular this very moment. I'm looking for my bamboo stencil. I do have, oh, there's just way too many here. Here we go. Now, if I use this, that means the trees are gonna be that autumn color. How does that work? Let's look at this a minute. This is the one thing you have to sort out. What comes first, what comes second? How is it gonna layer? And I have two that look real interesting. Oh, thank you. I've got lots of stencils. What'd you say, Dee? Oh, Priscilla Batzel, do they? Circles or bamboo, right. Or this one. See, if I use this one, because I got a little surprise for you. If I use this one, then we're stuck to a specific pattern. If I use this one, I can use this in different sections off and on to create basically an abstract piece of art. And the little surprise for you guys, I'm looking for some heavy gel medium here. Of course, it's gonna have to dry. I have a little pot of it right here at the end of my table. I can reach it. Yeah, I've got some gel medium here. Because I don't have to go just thin on the stencil designs, right? I can go heavy. So, we'll mix up a couple different things here. I want to do the cerulean and the turquoise through my stencils to get some designs. And I thought that I might mix some of the vivid intense in with some gel medium and make more of an impasto style paint. But then the primary elements are so gorgeous mixed in that. You've got to see that. If you guys have never seen primary elements mixed in a gel medium, it dries a little bit like an abalone shell. Let's see if I can get a different color. You know, what about that cerulean blue metallic? It's just the, sorry guys, slight little change of theme just because thinking of what I could be showing you. The turquoise mixed in the heavy gel medium is gorgeous. And you can put prism pour in it. Or you can put, sorry, I'm turning around, I'm grabbing something here. So there's a lot of different options. You could put this in there, or you can put some of this in there. Now, when it dries in the gel medium, you're gonna get a sheen on the exterior that looks kind of like an abalone shell effect, but because it's gonna dry dimensionally, it's not gonna be completely clear. So I'm gonna add some vivid intense to this one. this cobalt teal. See, and it's going, when I put that on a palette, now we're going to get some dimensional stuff to that, right? Okay. Then the autumn leaf, since it's so close to that color, it would stand out having it as a dimensional paint. It's going to pop for us. I don't want to get that in there. Careful stirring it. By the way, autumn leaf is a gorgeous, gorgeous brown. Let me get a whole lot more gel medium in there because that was a lot of pigment I put in there. Takes a while to break up into the gel medium, especially autumn leaf. I probably picked the hardest color to mix because there's so many colors in there in that brown to make that brown. But it's going to dry beautifully. At least I hope so. Let's hope it dries beautifully, right? I mean, that's what we're working towards. Now, just for the grins and giggles of it, I've showed you a vivid intense, a primary element. The teal zircon. I don't want to taint my little cup there. Oh, just like I said, I don't want to taint my cup here. Let's find a clean end of a stick. Come on, kids. We want the gel medium to stay clean in that little cup. There's a teal zircon mixed in the gel medium. A little bit more. Okay. They look a little close in color, but this will sparkle more. I didn't realize they were that close in color. So what would I do if I wanted to alter the color? Oh my, what would I do? I think because this is kind of on the green end of it, this is if I can find it now because I have, if you could see all the bottles I have set over here to possibly use. For me to try to find the phthalo blue-green shade in the Purely Pigment collection could be a little bit of a challenge, but this needs a touch-up. It's just a little bit too similar, and phthalo blue-green, I believe this is it. Now it's going to be really strong because, you know, it's the Purely, but this is going to immediately... Bam, one drop. I know you can't see anything else but the drop going in. Bam, it's going to turn that into more of a blue-green instead of a green-blue. Doesn't look anything like this anymore, does it? Yeah, it's super strong. It's actually really strong. It's a little too strong. You know, if I was making up a batch, I'd probably have double to triple a color in there. But for the intents and purposes of what we're doing, we're going to have a little fun here. And it's been a long time since I played with my stencils and my gel press plate. I mean, this is so much fun. After we get off the broadcast, I may just sit here and... I mean, yesterday when I was done with the broadcast, I wanted to sit in watercolor for the rest of the day. What's up with that, huh? Alive on polyfiber. I did, but I need to do another one. I did do one a few Saturdays ago. I did. Yes, polyfiber. I did. But since I got these big giant plates to put them in between, I've been thinking what you're thinking, to do that. All right, so this is a little bit throwing caution to the wind. I've got a little bit of this interference mixed up. I can use that. I was going to use some of the cerulean blue. Okay, so here's the deal with the next layer. I like both of these only because I'm not stuck with trying to make it look like a tree or something right now. And I'm going to use a little bit more dimension. I'll start with this. Even though, let's see if I can do this in such a way to where I have trouble with composition, guys. Just so you know, it's a challenge for me constantly. I struggle with the composition of things. I always do, always have. So in this case, I'm a colorist. I have to teach myself the composition and make myself learn it, right? I'm looking for my smaller palette knives that I can use. There we are. We got two other ones. We got different palette knife shapes. I think I'm going to start with the Vivid Intense Blue that we just did. So this is the Vivid Intense Cobalt Aqua mixed with that. Oops, don't move it. That's the only trick, is you got to be really, really, really careful. And now, because I want this dimensional, I'm going to put a thicker layer on here. Damn it. Just trying to get that to blend together up there. I got a little nervous and went off my game. Here we go. All right, so where's my puppy pads? Section 1. Bam. Now in this case, I'd be cleaning this off or carefully doing this, right? And hoping not too much paint is going to transfer right there. Rolling the paint off the stencil right there. It's probably going to not be as clean as this one we just did because it's going to run into that section. See how it's not quite as clean. Flipping it over meant you're not going to get it, especially since our bottom design has all that orange in it, right? So again, I'm not, I know that I'm not making the perfect piece of art here, guys, but the whole point to this exercise, use your imagination, start thinking of layering colors. The gel press plate has endless endless, endless possibilities. I think I'm just going to put some of this straight. I like this titanium teal that we've got. I think this would make a really nice, using my finger now. Maybe something, put something in there. Again, I'm just now looking at what's on my table and kind of going with it. Too much fun? Really? Thank you. Saturdays are supposed to be all about playing, right? Cleaning the house, doing the laundry, getting some groceries, and then playing. Or hugging your grandkids and playing. Or hugging your kids and playing. But whatever you're doing, remember there's an and playing after it. Sorry, just trying to get my brayer cleaned off. So I think you get the idea as far as being able to do dimensional stuff. Do this on your canvas, but the paper, God, I gotta tell you. I'm gonna let this dry, but you kind of get the idea. Grandkids are a little too old for hugs? No way. Grandkids are never, ever, never too old for hugs, right? So what if I just wanted to just put colors down and make an abstract paper? Not worry about a stencil, not worry about anything else, right? Get my palette nice off here. Put them back in the drawer. Because this cerulean blue is to die for, and I have to put it on here. You guys have just got this. Oh, they're 25, but they're still not, they're never too old for a hug from Grandma. Never. By the way, wow. Yeah, this is a fun project. So, hands down, one of my favorite colors in the entire Prison Pour line is the cerulean blue. Have you ever seen just how pretty cerulean blue is? That is one honkin' beautiful color. Wow. I mean, it's a beautiful color. So one project that we did, a girlfriend of mine, Heather, and I did it together. It was probably a challenge in teamwork would be the best way to describe it, okay? So what she and I did is, okay, where's that darn brayer? I just had it. Where is the big brayer? We just had it. I can't believe I put it away with tools like it was being so nice and tidy. We sat down and we just did abstract color on the paper. I'm going to grab some frozen here. Wow. Do they still let you hug you, Saskia? Saskia says her oldest is 34, youngest is 27. They better let you still hug them. Now look how contrasting that frozen is compared to the cerulean blue. Some of my most favorite colors in the whole wide world. I'm going to add some, same thing like I did on the other one, but this time the whole thing will be covered with paint. Here's the metallic elderberry from the metallic set. please give me, it doesn't want to give you drops. You know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really just don't like droppers. I guess I'm impatient. If I'm really careful, let it go, draw it up, I'll get 2, 3 drops. So I guess it's me that's impatient. I don't know if anybody else is impatient as me. I kind of don't want to overmix this, kind of like I did the other one. But this time I've got a lot more paint on, and there's a reason why, because we're covering the entire sheet with paint this time. You wouldn't believe the color combinations I pulled out for you guys, and yet it's taken it's, you know, it's hard to predict how long the live's going to take when you've got so much you want to show, right? Now, I actually like, and I know I'm putting paint on both sides. Didn't really mean to do that, but I like when the paper starts to crinkle. Do you see that crinkling in there? I love that crinkling. I love it when it rolls over on itself. It looks incredible under resin. That pattern looks amazing under resin, right? So here's the other side. Well, we have more paint. It's sticking to itself, of course. So this is the side we're actually gonna use and keep. You can't see it yet because it's so wet. I'm gonna do another printing with what's there right now, so give me a second. It's a little tricky because I got a piece of wet paper hanging right in front of me off the edge of my table. And this one here. Now, my girlfriend and I, what we did is we did these papers in blues, greens, purples, turquoises, right? Every kind of color combination. But we stayed in the, you know, the purple and turquoise and blue-green family. And we just sat side by side and made stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of paper like these in the color of families. There's a point to this, I promise you guys. Bye, John. Careful that it doesn't stick to itself while you're trying to get it to dry. The good thing is the prison pour dries really, really fast. Bye, Kathleen. Talk to you later, honey. Can you see that color? Wow, look at these. Look at them. Look at this. It's almost dry. Okay. Yes, it's real pretty. Then what you do, I'm done with the gel medium experiment. That was just kind of show another possibility, right? Then what we did while it was still semi-wet like this is go over the brayer again and purposely start creating places where the paint, where the paper folds over on itself, starts creating the crinkles, right? And you can do it on the other side if you want to guarantee it, like how we did it here. The paper, yeah, well, you can try. I actually mounted it on another substrate. So my point is, we did this exercise. We made these sheets of paper, and we kept layering blues, greens, purples. Here's another one down here. Remember, I used there was leftover paint on here that we've been waiting on all this time. So this was to pick up the excess that was still left on there, right? I know I haven't gotten to the final point of explaining what I'm talking about. Because she and I sat side by side and made these papers. It was kind of nuts. And then as it started drying, and all the little crinkle things were starting to form, we were taking interference micas. I actually had some that I haven't brought in yet to sell, but had a shift to them. And we started rubbing in the mica to shift on this thing. And then still kept going over the top, trying to create these bends and wrinkles. See these wrinkles? I'm getting wrinkle patterns. You want the veins and the wrinkles. You want the paint. There you go. See how it's starting to do that? Roll over on itself. And then rubbing mica on there. That was like a blue-green I just put on there. Okay, so then what we did, I'm gonna have to explain this. Yeah, the interference will make it pop. Okay, so then we sat, this is quite the exercise in teamwork. We must have had 20, 30 sheets of blue, blue-green, purple, but we were trying to stick to like a theme of like colors that you find in water and nature, you know, these kind of colors. See, now you can start seeing the veins and stuff popping. And then what we did is we tore them up in different shapes. We sat side by side and tore them up in different shapes and then collaged them. And I said, do you like that? She goes, no, well, move this thing here. And I said, well, what if we move this thing here? And then we both agreed, and we glued those 3 or 4 pieces of paper together, sat them aside, and we started working on putting these paper things together of different shapes we agreed upon. And then we had to agree upon where to glue it down on the canvas. We did this project side by side, and it's a great exercise in teamwork. I covered the whole thing with resin when I was done, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I gotta tell you, this, there's nothing like the cerulean blue and that frozen. This just makes my heart jump, you know. And then put some kind of interference violet on top of it to bring about that little bit of purple to this thing. Get some violet going on here. There's just so many things you can do with the different layers that you want to do before you lay this under your resin. You can keep crinkling it to try to get your patterns right. You don't have to be so tender with it. You can crinkle the thing up and create your patterns that you want in your paper. And the Prism Pearl will do whatever you want. It's kind of a little bit heavier bodied. It's a little bit, you know, this would be a great pattern mounted under resin somewhere. See that pattern? Now the pattern's really forming. So anything's possible with the Prism Pour and the gel press plate. So a little bit of business. Summer between Sunday and Monday, possibly Tuesday. It depends on how much we bring in this weekend. We're going to hold that stock up 40 code. That means everything on the website's 40% off, except the master sets. They're already marked down to 45. Your Purely Pigments are only marked down to 25. Sorry, kids. I had one lady upset that we were doing this sale. I'm going to have to call. It went down since when I bought it a couple weeks ago. I want to say, yeah, we're having a sale. We're kind of need to do this. So I will be back on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My name is Leslie Ohnstad, and I'm the creator of ColorArte Products, and I am so grateful you guys joined me today. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Evie. Thank you, Saskia, and Fairy Art Mother, and John, and everybody that joined us. Hugs and kisses. Bye.